What's up, tribe? It's your girl, Coach Coco. This word is for somebody. In the world today where people are constantly chasing after a bag, there's such an emphasis on material things. With this walk that many of us are walking, God is testing our finances because He wants us in a state of gratitude. God is a provider, okay? And we know that greed is one of the 7 deadly sins. God is very far removed from many households. God is trying to make sure that He can trust His chosen children to stay faithful to Him, not because of what He can financially do for us. Now, we know that when we choose God, we know that blessings are going to pour out on us. We are so used to seeking something from somebody based on what they can do for us. Okay. Love has become very conditional. And so God is testing many of us in our businesses, in our finances in general, to see that do we love Him despite what it is that He can do for us. See, because God's love is the ultimate love. His love is true. His love is unconditional. We should be using His love is an example to the love that we give to our children, to the love that we give to our spouses, to the love that we give to ourselves. It should not be based on what you can do for me. So when our finances are being tested, we have to understand that God is going to use this lesson to bless us financially, but we got to tap in and understand what it is He's doing. I don't think it's a coincidence at all that God pushed me to make a video about not looking at my neighbor to see what my neighbor has. That God pulled me out of my job to start my own business and go through these trials and tribulations. We all know that you don't start a business and then the money just pours in, okay? He is putting me through a season of tests, a season of being grateful for what it is that I do have, a season for being grateful that He is providing despite. It's not a coincidence that I just made a video and how grateful I was that God provided sparkling water when I was about to be stuck with just regular water. God does not do anything and it does not have overlapping understanding. Okay, God puts us through certain tests so that we can persevere, so that He can provide us with clarity, so that we understand He is who He says He is. The puzzle pieces are going to fit even though we can't see the full picture. This piece and that piece and that piece goes together. Okay, you're praying and asking God for more. Now we know we don't have to do a thing for God to do a thing. Okay, all we have to purely do is have faith that He will do it. However, sometimes God needs us to understand some lessons, okay, so that He can bless us, okay? Because if He just gives it to us, okay, then we'll ruin it. We have to think about this when we think about our children. We don't just give them everything they ask for. I don't believe that it was a coincidence this morning. God told me only buy what you need. And so when I have to lay out the foundation for my children, like, listen, we're not going to be eating out. I'm not going to be buying anything outside of what we need to survive, that my son will be mad at me because I've been trying to help him also be a good steward of his money. And that does not mean that I am the best steward of my money. I have definitely not been a good steward of my money, which is why I'm in this season of less is more. Now, people will tell you what you're supposed to do with your money. They'll count your pockets for you, okay? To include our children. There are a lot of parents who go out there getting 2 and 3 jobs to meet certain appetites, okay? And all it does really is adds more stress. It adds more turmoil. It takes away the time that you could be given to your children. Now, when we get into this mindset that we have to have all of these jobs to maintain a certain lifestyle, that's when life gets a little testy. My finances have been tight, but I thank God that He has been a provider. I am so grateful, Lord. All of our needs have been met. And God has not always told me yes. I actually just got a no just the other day, but I didn't let that deter me from thinking that God is still going to show up, and it did not deter me from trusting in him. My faith did not waver, okay? I did not decide to give up on him. I still believe that he's a way maker, and he's a miracle worker, and that he's a promise keeper. And I know what God has promised, and you have to remember what God has promised you when things get a little rough, okay? When things don't look like what you hope that they will look like, okay? When certain expectations are not being met, okay? We have to remember that God will not give us more than what we need in the season that we're in, okay? Just as we want to teach our children certain lessons, okay? We have to understand that our Heavenly Father also has to teach us certain lessons, okay? Because he's a loving Father. He's a protecting Father. He's a teaching Father. He doesn't just give us things when he knows that we're not in a place to where we can receive them and be grateful and not self-destruct and not lose it before we actually have it, okay? It is okay when you have to tell your children no. You don't have to feel guilty when you have to tell your children no. Nor does God feel guilty when he has to tell us no, because he knows that he's doing it because it's for our greater good. And I can't lie and say that I didn't feel some type of way that I had to tell my son this. I'm sorry, that's just what it is. I will be trying to do everything to please him. But no, that would not make me a loving mother. I don't have to be a yes person to my child. Lessons will be taught that need to be taught. I would be setting my children up for failure if I told them yes to every request. Do not be weary when you have been called out of a job. Do not be weary if that job laid you off. You're in a season where you have been applying and no doors seem to be opening up. Do not take that as a coincidence, okay? God is a provider. It is not being lazy. It's not being irresponsible. It is called being a Christian. It's called trusting and believing. It is called having faith. I don't care who the enemy uses to try to tell you anything about what you know to be true. This is why you have to know yourself. This is why you have to be self-aware. You have to be so sure in your God, in yourself, in your actions. Does not mean sit back and do nothing, because faith without works is dead. This is the time where we cannot lean on our own understanding, okay? When the brook dries up, okay, all we can do is pray and believe, okay, that God will do what he said he will do. Leaning not on your own understanding. Hebrews chapter 13 verse 5. Keep your lives free from the love of money and be content with what you have, because God has said, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. Matthew 6 says, seek his kingdom and all things will be given to you. We as human parents are flawed and we're imperfect, yet we want to gift our children because we love them. If that's the case, we can trust on a perfect, unconditionally loving God to also want to gift us. So trust and know that even as parents who can't do it all, can't provide it all, don't always get it right, have the desire to want to give our children the things that they want, why not with a perfect God, okay, want to also gift us with the things that we desire? So I believe that this is a lesson for us to trust that God is a provider. And sometimes he takes us through certain seasons of our lives, you know, when our finances are being tested, but we're praying for more at the same time. Sometimes we go through certain seasons so that we can see what areas of our life we need to be grateful for. Even for me in this season, God says it's not about what you have, it's about what you can give. Maybe that's a message for you too. And I pray that this message blesses somebody.